How many times have you wondered how to face the challenges of everyday life and find inner peace in such a chaotic and complex world? And how many times have you wanted to live a happier and more fulfilling life without succeeding? If you too are looking for answers to these questions, then this story is for you because we will see how Buddhist wisdom can change your life. So stay until the end because we will give you the 10 rules to follow consistently to face life by putting aside pain and frustrations. But before continuing, if you are not yet among us, subscribe to the channel and activate notifications so you can stay updated when we publish new content for your spiritual growth. While the sun sank lazily on the quiet of the Buddhist temple, painting the roof tiles and the cherry blossom gardens pink, the monk Goito, a man with a venerable appearance and eyes that shone with wisdom, gathered his disciples. "My children," he began in a calm voice, "our days are often crossed by events, challenges, and problems that put us to the test, and some of us at times are overwhelmed and enter a tunnel of anxiety and depression. This is why today I have decided that I will tell you about the 10 lessons that the Buddha gave us to transform our life into a journey of joy and peace despite everything." The disciples, intrigued and attentive, stood in a circle around the Master, ready to listen to his words and eager to discover how to pursue mental well-being and emotional balance. The first lesson I want to talk to you about is about awareness. Goito said, "Just as the clear water of a lake reflects the clear sky, so our mind must be clear and present in the here and now. Only by observing our thoughts, our emotions, and the events that arise along our path without judgment can we understand them and free ourselves from their effects and their slavery." To better illustrate the concept, Goito told the story of a young monk who, tormented by negative thoughts, turned to him for help. "I handed him a cup of hot tea and asked him to drink it," the master continued. The young monk impatiently raised the cup to his lips, but the tea was too hot and he burned his tongue. "Why did you drink so hastily?" asked the master. "Because I was looking forward to tea," the young man replied. "And now what does it taste like?" asked the master. The young monk, his tongue sore, admitted he couldn't taste it. "There," said the master, "just as you drank tea without enjoying it, live your life rushing and without awareness. Learn to slow down, observe, and savor every moment." Goito, looking into the eyes of the people present, smiled and continued with the second rule, which concerned control. "Like a tree that drops its leaves in autumn," he said, "so we must learn to let go of the things we cannot check. Remember that not clinging to the experiences we live every day, whether positive or negative, allows us to live with greater freedom and serenity." The monk, to simplify the concept, told the parable of a man who, walking along the bank of a river, saw a golden turtle trapped in a net. The man, eager to take possession of the precious object, dove into the water to free it. But the turtle, frightened, bit him on the hand. The pain was so strong that the man lost his grip on the net, and the turtle disappeared into the river. That man, Goito explained, had become attached to the desire to possess the golden turtle, and this had led him to suffering. This teaches us that by learning to let go of the things we cannot control, we let us free from suffering. Another important lesson the monk spoke about concerns compassion. Love and kindness towards oneself and others are the key to a happy life, he added. Developing compassion means desiring happiness and well-being of all living beings. While the disciples, with their wide eyes, showed that they deeply appreciated the master's words, Goito continued by talking about the concept of right action. "Every action we take has consequences," he said. "Acting ethically and responsibly, avoiding causing harm to others, allows us to live in harmony with ourselves and the world around us." Goito told the story of a farmer who, to increase his harvest, used pesticides that were harmful to the environment. Initially, the harvest was abundant, but over time the land became poisoned and the crops began to die. So the farmer, understanding the mistake he had made, changed his way of cultivating the land using sustainable and environmentally friendly methods. The harvest decreased, but the land became fertile again and the fruits of his labor were healthy and nutritious. Man, explained Goito, had acted in a wrong way, damaging the environment and himself. By learning to act with rectitude and responsibility, to live in harmony with ourselves and with the world around us, we will notice the positive consequences. Words have the power to create or destroy, said the monk to introduce another important teaching. Speaking with sincerity and kindness, avoiding lies and harsh words, allows us to build healthier and more positive relationships. Goito told the story of a young man who, to obtain the love of a woman, told her lies and false promises. The woman, initially attracted by his words, understood his falsehood and pushed him away. The young man, alone and repentant, learned the importance of sincerity and kindness in his words. Words, said Goito, can be like sharp blades or delicate feathers. We learn to use them with care and responsibility to build relationships based on trust and respect. After speaking about the power of words, the elderly monk addressed the teaching related to right thought. Our thoughts influence our reality, and cultivating positive and beneficial thoughts helps us create a better life. I met a painter who, tormented by negative thoughts, only painted scenes of pain and suffering, the monk said. One day, he met a teacher who encouraged him to cultivate positive and hopeful thoughts. And so, from that moment, following the master's advice, he began to paint scenes of joy and beauty. His paintings became famous and his life was filled with light. Thoughts, Goito explained, are like seeds that germinate in our reality. Let us learn to cultivate positive and beneficial thoughts, and we will create a happier and more peaceful life. Perseverance was the focus of the monk's next lesson. Change requires commitment and perseverance, he said, scrutinizing the gazes of the disciples. Always remember that committing yourself to improving yourself and your life, overcoming negative habits, and developing positive qualities is a path that requires dedication. And to make this concept better understood, he told the story of a monk who, eager to achieve enlightenment, meditated for 6 hours a day. At first, his mind was restless and full of thoughts, but with constant practice, she became calmer and clearer, and after years of dedication, the monk achieved enlightenment. You must know that change does not happen by chance, reminded Goito. It requires commitment, perseverance, and dedication. Therefore, do not be discouraged by the difficulties, but persevere in your commitment and you will achieve your goals. As the sun had now retreated behind the majestic mountains surrounding the monastery, Goito spoke of the power of concentration. Focusing the mind on an object or activity allows us to develop the ability to concentrate and meditate, essential tools for achieving inner peace, he said in a calm tone. I remember that many years ago, there lived in the village a young man who was studying to become an archer. To improve his skill, he continually practiced hitting a target with a bow and arrow. At first, he was haphazard and distracted because he couldn't concentrate as he should. But with constant practice and with the help of meditation, his concentration increased and he became a skilled archer. This story, added Goito, teaches us that concentration is like a muscle that gets stronger with practice. We learn to focus our mind on the present to achieve inner peace and mental clarity. Another thing you must learn, continued the monk, is that true wisdom is not about accumulating knowledge, but about understanding the nature of reality and living in harmony with it. Goito told the story of a man who, eager to know the truth, traveled for many years in search of an enlightened teacher. He met many wise men, but none of them were able to satisfy his thirst for knowledge. Then, one day when he least expected it, he met a simple farmer who lived in harmony with nature. The farmer, with simple and sincere words, explained to him that true wisdom is found within us, and that to understand it, it is necessary to live in harmony with the present. Man, Goito explained, had looked for wisdom outside, when in reality, it was already within him. Let us learn to live the present with awareness and compassion, and true wisdom will reveal itself to us without much effort. Sharing one's gifts and talents with others without expecting anything in return is an act of great generosity that enriches both the giver and the recipient, said Goito, speaking of another important lesson to put into practice. Remember, said the master, smiling, that life will always present me with more or less burdensome challenges. Faced with these challenges, you have two options: complain and give up, or face them thanks to the lessons we talked about today.